Chapter 17: A Dangerous Trap. The dim light of dawn was just beginning to break through the early morning fog when Mara and Cale set out. The sky was still streaked with shades of gray and orange, casting an eerie glow over the port city. Their faces were set with grim determination, hardened by the revelations of the previous night. Hours of meticulous planning had led them to this moment, each step calculated to exploit the new opportunity they had uncovered. The conspiracy that had woven a tangled web of deceit was now within their grasp, and they were resolute in their mission to turn the tables on those who had so cunningly manipulated their allies. As they approached the designated meeting point, a secluded warehouse on the outskirts of town, the quiet of the early morning was almost oppressive. The air was heavy with mist, swirling around their feet as they moved. The warehouse loomed ahead, its weathered exterior bathed in the faint, uncertain light of dawn. Despite their best efforts to shake off the sense of foreboding, it clung to them, a silent reminder of the dangers that lay in wait. The very stillness of the surroundings seemed to pulse with an unspoken threat, heightening their awareness and tension. Mara and Cale exchanged glances, their earlier confidence now tempered by a growing unease. They had prepared for many possibilities, but the intensity of their focus revealed how deeply they were invested in this critical juncture. The information they had gathered had pointed to this location as a key moment in their fight against the conspiracy, but the growing sense of danger made them question whether they had overlooked something crucial. They proceeded with heightened caution, every sound and shadow scrutinized for hidden threats. The warehouse's imposing structure was stark and unwelcoming. Its broken windows and rusting metal facade hinted at years of neglect, now serving as a perfect cover for clandestine dealings. As they drew closer, the sense of foreboding only intensified, and they moved with practiced stealth. The fog swirled around them, obscuring their path and adding to the sense of vulnerability. Their senses were on high alert, each creak of the floorboards and rustle of the mist heightening their awareness of the dangers they might face inside. With each step towards the warehouse, Mara and Cale's resolve was tested. The information that had led them here had promised a chance to strike at the heart of the conspiracy, but the lingering doubt and the oppressive silence suggested that the danger was more immediate than they had anticipated. The intricate plans they had devised were about to be put to the ultimate test, and the sense of anticipation was palpable. They were about to confront the conspiracy head-on, fully aware that their mission could pivot dramatically in an instant. The meeting place, an old warehouse on the outskirts of town, exuded a deceptive calm under the early morning light. Its sagging roof and broken windows suggested years of abandonment and neglect, yet today it stood out with an unsettling stillness. The structure, once a bustling hub of activity, now seemed like a relic of the past, cloaked in a silence that felt almost deliberate. The occasional creak of the weathered building was the only sound, amplifying the sense of isolation that enveloped the area. As Mara and Cale approached, their wariness was palpable. Every footstep on the cracked pavement, and every rustle of the fog seemed magnified, heightening their senses. They moved with practiced caution, their eyes darting around to pick up any subtle signs of movement or potential danger. The quiet was almost oppressive, wrapping around them like a thick fog, making their task more challenging as they sought to discern whether the calm was genuine or a facade for something more sinister. The silence inside the warehouse was even more profound, creating an eerie contrast to the earlier noise of the bustling city. Dust motes danced in the slivers of light that filtered through the broken windows, and the air was thick with the smell of mildew and decay. The interior, strewn with old crates and forgotten machinery, seemed to hold its breath in anticipation. Mara and Cale's every movement was cautious and deliberate, their focus intense as they scanned the shadows and hidden corners for any sign of an ambush. Despite the seemingly abandoned state of the warehouse, Mara and Cale felt an unshakable sense of being watched. The quiet, combined with the occasional groan of the old building settling, added to the tension that hung heavy in the air. The stillness was both a comfort and a danger, masking any potential threats that might be lying in wait. They continued to advance with their guard up, each step taken with a combination of purpose and trepidation. Their plan was to infiltrate the warehouse, but the unnerving calm made it clear that their mission would not be straightforward. The deceptive peace of the surroundings was a stark reminder that they were walking into the unknown, with the potential for danger lying just beneath the surface. Mara and Cale's resolve remained strong, but the silence was a constant reminder of the high stakes and the need for vigilance as they proceeded deeper into the warehouse. Inside the warehouse, the atmosphere transformed abruptly from one of quiet anticipation to chaotic peril. As Mara and Cale crossed the threshold, the sudden, sharp clang of a heavy door slamming shut behind them pierced the stillness, jolting them into a heightened state of alert. The noise echoed ominously through the cavernous space, sending a chill down their spines as they turned to face the source. The once hopeful sense of opportunity was replaced by the cold realization that their presence had triggered something much more sinister. A series of muffled clicks reverberated through the warehouse, each one amplifying their growing anxiety. The sound seemed to come from all directions, a chilling confirmation of their worst fears. Mara and Cale exchanged alarmed glances as they comprehended the grim reality. They had been lured into a carefully set trap. The silence that followed the clamor was thick with tension, broken only by the faint, mechanical noises that hinted at a series of hidden mechanisms at work. The dim light filtering through the broken windows did little to dispel the darkness within. Shadows danced menacingly along the walls, creating a disorienting play of light and dark that seemed to pulse with ill intent. The shifting shapes on the walls took on a threatening aspect, each movement potentially concealing a hidden danger. The warehouse, once a symbol of potential and opportunity, now felt like a claustrophobic prison, its very structure closing in on them. Mara's instincts kicked into overdrive as she scanned the room for any signs of movement or hidden threats. Her heart raced, and her mind raced even faster, trying to piece together how they could escape the snare they had fallen into. Cale, equally vigilant, moved with a sense of deliberate calm, his eyes searching for any strategic advantage amidst the chaos. The realization that their enemies had anticipated their every move added a new layer of urgency to their predicament. As they navigated through the warehouse's labyrinthine interior, every creak of the floorboards and every distant clank seemed amplified by the tense silence. The feeling of being watched was almost tangible, with every shadow potentially hiding a hidden adversary. The realization that their trap was well designed and meticulously planned only heightened their sense of danger. The walls, with their peeling paint and rusted beams, seemed to press in on them, adding to the sense of encroaching peril. Mara and Cale's minds raced as they worked together to devise a plan for escape. The muffled clicks and shifting shadows suggested that their enemies had not only anticipated their arrival but had also prepared for various contingencies. Each step they took was measured, with both of them fully aware that any misstep could trigger another layer of the trap. The once promising lead had turned into a life-threatening ordeal, testing their resolve and ingenuity. Despite the fear gnawing at them, Mara and Cale maintained a sense of determined focus. They knew that their survival depended on their ability to stay composed and think strategically. The warehouse, now a dark labyrinth of danger, held the key to their next moves. Every corner they turned and every noise they heard was a potential clue or a threat, and they had to remain vigilant to navigate the perilous situation they found themselves in. In the midst of the chaos, a sense of grim determination settled over them. They had walked into a trap set with precision, but they were not about to let it be their downfall. With every ounce of their strength and cunning, Mara and Cale began to unravel the layers of their predicament, seeking a way to outwit their captors and escape the perilous snare that had been set for them. The warehouse, once a symbol of opportunity, now became a battleground where their resolve and resourcefulness would be tested to their limits. From the far end of the warehouse, a group of masked figures emerged from the darkness, their presence cutting through the dim light with a chilling intensity. The sudden appearance of these adversaries underscored the conspiracy's reach and ruthlessness, starkly contrasting with the earlier deceptive calm. The conspirators, clad in dark, foreboding attire, moved with a menacing grace, their faces obscured by masks that rendered their identities and intentions inscrutable. The heavy weapons they carried glinted ominously in the scarce light, revealing the seriousness of their preparation for this confrontation. Mara's sharp eyes swept the warehouse, her mind racing to identify potential escape routes and tactical advantages. Each corner of the vast, shadow-filled space was scrutinized for any possible way out or cover that could aid their escape. Her focus was unwavering, driven by the urgent need to find a solution to their dire predicament. Despite the gravity of the situation, her demeanor remained calm and resolute, her analytical mind working quickly to assess their options and devise a plan. Meanwhile, Cale moved with deliberate precision, his actions reflecting a strategic mindset honed by years of royal training. His eyes scanned the warehouse with a tactical awareness, evaluating the positions of the masked figures and calculating their potential moves. Every step he took was measured, aimed at maximizing their chances of survival and countering the threats posed by their well-armed adversaries. His composed demeanor provided a stark contrast to the tension of the moment, embodying the strategic prowess that was crucial to their survival. The atmosphere in the warehouse was thick with tension, each side bracing for the impending clash. The oppressive silence between Mara and the masked figures was charged with anticipation, each party acutely aware that the outcome of this encounter could determine the fate of their mission. The weight of the confrontation hung heavily in the air, a palpable reminder of the high stakes involved and the precarious nature of their situation. As Mara and Cale faced off against their heavily armed adversaries, the sense of danger was almost tangible. The warehouse, with its rusting beams and dusty corners, now seemed like a battleground where every decision and action carried immense consequences. The conspirators' readiness and weaponry heightened the stakes, transforming the once empty space into a scene of imminent conflict. Mara and Cale's every move was now crucial, with the outcome hanging in the balance. The masked figures, encircling them with deliberate precision, exuded a sense of calculated menace. Their presence was a stark reminder of the conspiracy's depth and the lengths to which their enemies were willing to go. As the two sides prepared for the inevitable clash, the reality of their situation became clear. They were fighting not only for their own survival but also for the future of their mission and the realms they sought to protect. In the face of such overwhelming odds, Mara and Cale's resolve only strengthened. The impending confrontation was not just a battle for their lives but a crucial test of their strategic capabilities and bravery. The warehouse, now a theater of imminent conflict, would soon witness a decisive clash that could alter the course of their quest. With every muscle tensed and every sense on high alert, they braced themselves for the fight that lay ahead, determined to outwit their enemies and emerge victorious. In the ensuing chaos, Mara and Cale fought with a fierce determination to survive, their every move marked by a blend of desperation and precision. The warehouse, now a treacherous battlefield, reverberated with the clash of steel and the echo of gunfire. The conspirators' trap had been meticulously planned, designed to disorient and overwhelm them with its complexity. Yet Mara's combat prowess, honed through countless battles, and Cale's strategic insight, sharpened by his royal training, formed a powerful combination that enabled them to mount a resilient defense. Mara moved with the fluid grace of a seasoned fighter, her every strike and parry executed with purpose. She darted between the shadows, using the warehouse's dim lighting and cluttered layout to her advantage. Her keen eyes tracked her enemies with unwavering focus, targeting their weaknesses and exploiting any openings. Each swing of her weapon was precise, aimed at neutralizing threats while minimizing her own exposure to danger. Despite the overwhelming odds, her resolve was unshakable, driving her to fight with a tenacity born of necessity. Cale, on the other hand, orchestrated their defense with a cool, calculated demeanor. His mind raced through tactical options, constantly assessing the shifting dynamics of the battle. He directed Mara's movements with strategic guidance, ensuring that their actions were not just reactive but also preemptive. His royal training had taught him to anticipate opponents' moves and to use their environment to his advantage. Cale's commands were crisp and authoritative, cutting through the din of battle to coordinate their efforts and maintain a semblance of order amidst the chaos. The warehouse, once a symbol of their tactical advantage and a beacon of hope, had transformed into a grim arena of survival. Its rusty beams and dusty corners, once offering potential cover, now served as obstacles and hazards in the middle of a fierce confrontation. The floor, strewn with debris from their earlier struggle, became a treacherous terrain that added an extra layer of difficulty to their fight. Every corner and shadow seemed to conspire against them, making the environment as much an enemy as the conspirators themselves. Amid the violence and confusion, Mara and Cale's synergy became evident. Their coordinated efforts were a testament to their deepening partnership and mutual trust. Each movement was executed with a level of coordination that spoke to their understanding of each other's strengths and tactics. They covered each other's blind spots, their combined skills creating a formidable defense against the relentless assault of their enemies. The intensity of their fight forged a bond that transcended their previous alliance, strengthening their resolve to overcome the threat before them. The conspirators, though numerous and heavily armed, found themselves struggling against the unexpected ferocity of Mara and Cale's defense. Their elaborate trap, designed to trap and overwhelm, was met with a resistance that neither they nor the warehouse's dark corners had anticipated. The warehouse's oppressive silence, once a harbinger of their peril, was now punctuated by the sounds of a fierce struggle, each clash and cry underscoring the high stakes of the conflict. In the midst of the fray, the realization dawned on Mara and Cale that their survival hinged on their ability to adapt and persevere. Each moment brought new challenges and unforeseen dangers, but their determination to see their mission through remained steadfast. The warehouse, once a symbol of the conspiracy's reach, had become a stage for their most critical battle, with every decision and action carrying weighty consequences. Their fight was not just for their lives but for the success of their mission and the future of their realms. As the battle raged on, the intensity of their struggle only heightened their sense of urgency. The warehouse, now a chaotic battleground, was a constant reminder of the precariousness of their situation. Mara and Cale's fight was a testament to their courage and resilience, their every action driven by the necessity to overcome the traps set by their enemies. With each passing moment, they moved closer to the end of this harrowing encounter, their determination unwavering as they fought to emerge victorious against overwhelming odds. Despite their best efforts, the odds were increasingly stacked against Mara and Cale. The conspirators had orchestrated their trap with meticulous precision, turning the warehouse into a nightmarish maze of obstacles and threats. Every corridor they traversed seemed to lead to another challenge, each turn revealing more of the labyrinthine design that sought to ensnare them. The dim light flickered erratically, casting long shadows that danced menacingly across the walls, further complicating their fight for survival. Mara, her breath coming in sharp, controlled bursts, pressed on with a fierce resolve. She moved swiftly through the darkened corridors, her combat skills sharp and her instincts honed to a razor's edge. Every corner and doorway seemed to conceal a new threat, from hidden traps to ambushes by masked figures. Her focus was unwavering as she engaged in combat, her every movement driven by the urgent need to press forward and find a way out. The determination etched on her face was a testament to her commitment to both their survival and the larger mission they were entrusted with. Cale, equally resolute, navigated the treacherous environment with a strategic mindset. His experience as a strategist proved invaluable as he analyzed their surroundings, identifying potential hazards and anticipating the movements of their adversaries. Despite the overwhelming numbers and the carefully laid traps, he remained composed, his actions guided by careful calculation of risks and opportunities. Cale's commands were precise, directing Mara and himself with an efficiency born of his royal training and tactical acumen. The warehouse, once a seemingly abandoned structure, now felt like a living entity bent on their destruction. The metal walls groaned under the strain of the ongoing conflict, and the air was thick with the acrid scent of smoke and sweat. Each obstacle they encountered, whether it was a barricaded passage or a hidden trap, served to heighten the danger of their situation. The fight was not just physical but psychological, as the constant barrage of threats wore on their mental endurance and tested their ability to stay focused under pressure. Despite the relentless onslaught, Mara and Cale's resolve remained unshaken. They knew that escaping this trap was crucial not only for their own survival but for the success of their larger mission. The realization that their struggle was part of a broader scheme added a layer of urgency to their fight. Every step they took, every decision they made, was driven by the knowledge that the outcome of this confrontation could determine the future of their quest and the safety of those they sought to protect. The intensity of the situation only strengthened their determination. Mara's eyes burned with a mix of anger and resolve, while Cale's expression remained a mask of strategic focus. The endless corridors and the oppressive atmosphere of the warehouse did little to deter their efforts. They fought with a coordinated ferocity, each action designed to push them closer to safety while disrupting the plans of their enemies. Their combined skills and unyielding spirit were their greatest assets in this desperate struggle. As they continued to battle their way through the warehouse, the enormity of their task became increasingly apparent. The trap laid by the conspirators was a testament to their ruthlessness and resourcefulness. Yet, Mara and Cale's unwavering determination and strategic brilliance provided a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos. With every obstacle they overcame, their resolve to see their mission through only grew stronger, driving them to push beyond their limits in the fight for their survival and the greater good. Finally, after what felt like hours of intense conflict, Mara and Cale managed to break free from the warehouse's claustrophobic confines. The oppressive atmosphere of the warehouse, once a tangled maze of shadows and danger, gave way to the cool morning air. The first breath of fresh air was a stark contrast to the stifling environment they had endured, and it carried a chilling sense of relief. Their escape had been fraught with peril, and the tension of their battle now left them feeling both physically and emotionally drained. Exhausted and battered, Mara and Cale emerged into the daylight, their bodies marked by the remnants of their struggle. Their breaths came in ragged gasps, the adrenaline that had fueled their fights slowly ebbing away. They moved with weary steps, their once sure footing now unsteady from the relentless combat. The cool air was a balm to their heated skin, but it did little to ease the profound fatigue that settled over them. Each movement was deliberate, a testament to their sheer will to survive despite their exhaustion. As they regrouped and assessed their injuries, the reality of their situation began to set in with stark clarity. The injuries they had sustained were more than just physical. The emotional toll of the betrayal and the danger they had faced weighed heavily on them. Cuts, bruises, and the lingering ache of their battle reminded them of the harrowing ordeal they had just endured. The once clear path of their mission now seemed clouded by the immediate challenges they faced, their resolve tested by the sheer scale of the conspiracy against them. The conspirators had proven themselves to be not only cunning but also merciless. The elaborate trap they had laid was a testament to their ruthlessness, designed not just to defeat but to demoralize. The complexity and severity of the trap underscored the depth of the conspiracy they were up against, highlighting the lengths to which their enemies were willing to go to achieve their goals. The realization that they were dealing with such formidable adversaries added a new layer of urgency to their mission. The escape from the warehouse was a stark reminder of the dangerous game they were now part of. The stakes had never been higher, and the cost of failure was increasingly apparent. The warehouse, once a symbol of their tactical advantage, had become a grim testament to the dangers they faced. Every decision and every move from this point on would be crucial, their survival dependent on their ability to navigate the treacherous landscape of deceit and danger that lay ahead. As they took stock of their situation and planned their next steps, the weight of their mission loomed large. The trap had not only endangered their lives but also exposed the intricate web of the conspiracy that sought to undermine their efforts. Mara and Cale's survival was a small victory, but it also highlighted the persistent threat they faced. With their resolve steeled by their escape, they knew that the path ahead would require even greater vigilance and determination.